this is more of a history/war story for me. It was 2004, the fall of 2004. I was in the eastern part of Baghdad. For some of you guys that are familiar, from Route Arrows, which was the most eastern route to Route Predator. So if you guys remember any of that, if you guys have been there. I was a staff sergeant. I was in a scout platoon. And I've been a staff sergeant for a while. Emotions were kind of, I don't know what was going on. But it was a very frenetic deployment. And it was the first, we've been there 5 days, and if you guys remember anything about the Iraq War, there was April 4th uprising happened, and our battalion, and we lost 8 people. And that was after 4 days there. So it went like that for about 3 months, and it kind of died down. And then in September, it started up again. And specifically on my birthday, it got a little more personal. September 27th of 2004, my section received, a vehicle in front of me received an IED, got hit by an IED. And it happened like this for about 4 days straight. At this point, I'd lost friends. Several people had been wounded. It was pretty bad, and it was to the point now. It was like a 4-day period. Either the truck in front of me or the truck behind me had been blown up. So we were coming back on a mission. From a mission, it was at night, but we're gonna go back out again early in the next morning. And I was just to the point where I'm just waiting for me to get hit next or to die, really. Some of you guys that have been deployed can relate to that, but just waiting to get whatever's coming. So I went to sleep, and in the middle of the sleep, it was not like it wasn't like a dream. It's not like a fantasy. I can't really explain to you what the feeling was like. I knew that I was not dreaming. I knew that I was physically in bed. I knew where I was, but when you say you hear the voice of God, I knew what it was happening. I knew it was from something from God. And it was just like it got my attention. And 3 things I recall from that. One is you'll be fine. Nothing will happen to you. Not a hair will be touched on your head. I ain't a hair at the time. Now at that point it was kind of great, but I had it. The other thing is that you'll be very successful. I'll be successful. And the third thing is I'll have a son. And it was very specific on this, so his name will be God is with me. So we went back out the next, and this was just very specific. I wrote it down. I talked to my sister the next day, and I told her about it. But the next day, sure enough, the truck behind me got blown up, and I was afraid. I was really afraid. We had some more small arms firefights or whatever, and I was afraid every time. And then at the end of it, we come home, and of the 20-man scout platoon, all but 5 of us were wounded. And I was one of the 5, and nothing happened to me. So that promise was kept. And I realized that when God, he kept his promise, he was faithful, but it wasn't the way that I thought it would be. I thought I was going to go out that next morning, either 1 or 2 things were going to happen. Either we weren't going to get blown up, there would be no more engagements, or I just wouldn't be afraid, and neither one of those happened. I just had the strength to be able to go through it. A couple more deployments, and the same thing happened. Except after a while, I realized that I was going to be fine. The other thing was, so I got back, I got promoted. I didn't plan on that. I was given the opportunity to complete my degree. I got commissioned as an officer. I've been successful so far with that. And then I had a son, and his name is Athil. Which is Hebrew for God is with me. And it's only mentioned 2 places in the Bible. And that next morning, I may have forgot to tell you, but that next morning I got up and I did find Athil, and I asked the chaplain what it meant. And he did tell me that. And I found it, I looked at more places and it confirmed children's room, the 7-year-old right now. And it's just, I just learned from that God is faithful. He provided what I needed. It's just what it didn't come as I thought it would be. You know, things that happened good for promotions and all that other stuff, it took time. And in some cases, years. Like Phil was 3 years from before I came back till he was born, but it did happen. And there's a time, oftentimes that I just fall back and say, you promised. Never had an experience like that again, but I still rely on those promises that you gave me. Amen.